physicality, that the spirit, the body was nourished from the soul. The body didn't even have to eat. He would never die because the soul was so much more powerful that it took care of the body. The body was just kind of there, but very little, very minute. And that was the elevated level. Now, it could be elevated even above that.
Right, you said he could have gone...
Right, and his goal was to rise even higher, which he didn't. But that's what we can all eventually accomplish. But while we're here now in the pre-resurrection era, the only thing the body can do is it can start shedding the heaviness of its physicality.
So why is that not called B'Koil?
Because there's a very small amount that's possible. The degree that it's possible to is not even close to achievable in this world. So let me give you an example. We spoke about this previously. Rav Leib Steinman, we said he traveled the whole day, he ate nothing, he came to his host at night, and all he wanted to eat was a spoonful of honey and a cup of water. So how does that work? How does a person live like that? The answer is that he's elevated his physicality by shedding it, to the point that he just didn't have the same physical needs. But that's the most that a person can accomplish in this world, as far as the physicality goes. If I were to look at him, I wouldn't see a significant difference between me and him. I mean, I did. I looked at him, right? I didn't see a major significant difference. I sensed a spirituality about him. I didn't see in physicality, he had skin like I have skin. He had hair like I had hair. He walked like I walked, right? So there wasn't really a tangible difference. But when you get to resurrection, huge difference. I mean, like a completely qualitative difference, entirely different. Does that make sense?
I got him all over.
That's a no.
Sort of.
Maybe.
Well, ask your question. Go ahead. Don't be shy.
No, I'm thinking. I really am.
Wow.
Well, give me some time.
We have a thinker.
You want? I can think out loud. So you're saying B'Koil means that the body changes noticeably versus B'Koil meaning that the body doesn't need as much physicality to sustain it.
No. What I'm saying is that when he says over here that the body only becomes purified potentially, not actually, it's talking about the large scale change.
When you say potential,
Stored.
when I think potential, I think something that could but doesn't exist yet.
It exists, but it's not actualized. Doesn't actually come out. Doesn't happen. It's there, stored up, it's ready to go, but it doesn't actually go. So like the neshama, the whole lifetime that we're living, the neshama is growing and growing and growing, but doesn't actually change. But it's got all this growth. It's got all this purification. It's got all this elevation stuck inside this container. It doesn't actually go anywhere. Once it gets to the world of souls, it explodes. It expands, it spreads, it shines. Like all that happens. It doesn't happen when it's inside. That's the neshama. So that's koyach and poel. Potential and actual.
So how does that come into play for the good? We're saying this for the good.
Right. So what he's saying is the same thing when it comes to the body, but the opposite. It's not about growth, it's about shedding itself. It's about losing its physicality. So the body can also shed its physicality, but only in potential, not in actual. Even the most saintly person is still going to be a very physical, heavily physical person. It's not going to shine, right? He's still going to be a very heavy physical person because all of the shedding that he's able to accomplish is going to be stored. It's still going to be sitting there like kind of on the outside and ready to pop as soon as you pop the balloon. And it'll all pour out. But it's still there until the body is able to be raised to that level. It's like there's a you can take a pomegranate and you could try to de-seed it. Very tedious process, right? But these big chefs have a whole way of like rolling it and smushing it and smashing it, and then they chop it open and the seeds fall out because they all get detached in the process. So that's kind of what happens. If a person is going through life, raising up their physicality, shedding away the base things of life, then all that heaviness of the physicality becomes like detached. It's not really part of him, but it's still there, because the shell hasn't opened to let it all out. It's only once a person dies that all that physicality, that heaviness, can all seep out into the ground, and then it can be recreated in this higher form. So that's the the koyach that he's talking about. Nothing actually happens that's a noticeable change in this world. It's only after death that all of that change that should have been accomplished actually comes to fruition.
In which case the neshama won't have as much to purify.
Right. Yeah. Then the body is in a state that it's capable of being elevated and purified from the neshama.
But it'll still be there because it needs to be purified.
It'll be rebuilt in a whole different format. One like Adam. Very light, very minute. Okay?
Yeah.
No,
I know.
I almost got a yes out of him. But then he started thinking again.
This is deep stuff.
How dare he?
At least to me. Could be all everybody else gets it.
I kind of have my doubts.
You're asking the questions for us.
Anyone
On
else?
behalf
Come
of
on.
us.
Need more questions. We're not going further here. This is where we're stopping for today.
Okay.
So we need some more people thinking out loud, please. No one.
So with somebody who is shedding, who is more advanced in shedding the physicality, would they necessarily be somebody who then experiences pain differently?
Would someone who's in an advanced state of purification, of perfection, would they experience pain differently? I don't think they would experience pain differently. I think they would react to pain differently. The difference is that they would both feel the same pain, but what goes on in the mind because of that would be very different. You have someone who experiences pain and gets upset at someone or something because that's what pain kind of emotes, and then, or evokes. And then you have someone who experiences pain and says, "Thank you, Hashem," because they understand that this is a gift from Hashem. So that's the highest level and the lowest level. The highest level is the person who experiences pain and is happy about it. The lowest level is the person who experiences pain and says, "I hate you, Hashem."
Where would the happiness come from in experiencing pain?
And understanding that this is the best thing that could ever happen to you. Imagine if a person was having a terrible, terrible nausea, and they go to an acupuncture place. They say, "We'll cure it." There's pain in acupuncture. It hurts. But there is this elated joy of coming out of that and not feeling the nausea anymore.
Yeah.
So it's the idea. If a person understands that Hashem is giving them this pain because it's going to purify them for the world to come, or because whatever it's for, I mean, one of the myriad of reasons, but then they're very happy for it. This is doing what I need.
When pain comes your way, it's also a way of recognizing that you have something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just giving an example. There's lots of explanations. I'm just saying, the example of a person who would experience happiness from pain. Let me give you another example. Rabbi Akiva.
Yeah.
Rabbi Akiva was being killed. He was being burned at the stake, and he was smiling. And his students asked him, "Why are you smiling?" He says, "Because all my life I've been wanting to fulfill the mitzvah of giving up my life for Hashem, and I can finally do it." This is amazing. It's mind over matter, but he's still experiencing the pain. He's still being burned, but his reaction to it is very different. That's the highest level. Does that answer your question?
Very well, thank you.
Which he got from his Rebbe, nothing was common.
Yeah. That's right.
Be careful what you wish for. That was
Careful what you wish for. No, why? He got exactly what he wished for. Huh? He did it. All right. It's been a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you all for coming. Who sponsored today?
Herbie.
Herbie. Shkoyach. All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Yeah.
Take the picture.